Y'all, I need to get on here and say this because what's happening right now is wild. ICE is out here in Chicago going after not just immigrants but black Americans too. If you thought you were safe, you're not. They're literally showing up in neighborhoods, cuffing people for no reason, throwing flashbangs, and doing all kinds of shady stuff in the middle of the night. People are saying they're stepping outside their apartments and getting met with ICE yelling, "Police! Police!" while flashing lights and making chaos. They're asking folks for their meds, their date of birth, questioning who they are. It's scary. This isn't just rumors either. It's happening right now, and it could be coming to a neighborhood near you. Black people, please be careful out here. They're pulling these tactics on our communities, and I'm not going to shut up about it.
Hi guys, this is Tiana and you're welcome to Tiana's React. So Chicago woke up to chaos. ICE stormed black neighborhood in South Shore, dragging away men, women, even people who said they are US citizens. They claimed it was about gang, about drugs, and about immigration papers. But families are crying, saying innocent people were taken. Mothers screaming, kids left behind, the whole community living in fear. This wasn't just an arrest. This was a raid that felt like a war zone. Why are black Americans being treated like criminals in their own city? And why isn't anyone talking about this? Well, let's dive in and see people's reactions to this.
¿Cómo se llama? Dino. ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama? Dino. ¿Dino qué? Cedillo. I call for you to be arrested. Show mask. You can take off your mask. Take off your mask. Take off your mask. La amiga. Keep going. ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama? Rodolfo Estrella. Gracias. Hey. I'm walking this way. Why are you dropping them down like that?
ICE is now going after and detaining all black people in Chicago, including black Americans, regardless of your citizenship status and regardless if you are native to this country.
Lives in this building, and she says she was detained by ICE agents overnight, and she says they took everyone and then asked questions later.
They just treated us like we were nothing.
Patricia Fisher says she came out to the hallway of her apartment complex on the corner of 75th and South Shore Drive in her nightgown around 10 Monday night, only to find ICE agents yelling police.
It was scary because I've never had a gun put in my face. They asked my name and my date of birth and asked me did I have any warrants, and I told them no, I didn't.
She says she was then handcuffed and released around 3 a.m. Fisher says she was told if anyone had any kind of warrant out for them, even if it was unrelated to immigration, they would not be released. Citizen video shows the chaotic scene overnight. Neighbors tell us there were dozens of ICE agents. Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. That's all.
It appears that ICE agents have been targeting black neighborhoods and specifically apartment complexes where they know majority of the population of those buildings are black Americans who are native to America, ergo American citizens. This was a threat that was told to us by Kamala Harris and many people that he would send troops after citizens and that he definitely would do his darndest to go after Latinos first, Asians second, and then us. Stay vigilant, stay safe, because who knows what's going to happen. The Governor Pritzker is fighting against Trump now, pushing back on Trump sending in the army and the military, which he's still planning to do. But ICE agents have ramped up their efforts in Chicago over the last couple of days because of this, including now black people.
Dozens of armed federal agents raided a South Shore apartment building early Tuesday morning. A Homeland Security spokesperson said agents arrested at least 37 people in the building during the raid, which they claim is frequented by the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Residents said the building had become home to some Venezuelan migrants over the years. The raid had people's units turned upside down. Upon returning, many walked into destroyed apartments. Some had their belongings taken, and some say their neighbors were taken away to unknown places. The building reeked of a rancid odor when reporter Mac Liederman and I visited on Wednesday. The elevators didn't appear to work, and at least one hallway was pitch black without a working light. We saw beds torn apart, water leaking through the ceiling and onto the ground, blood on the floor underneath children's clothing in one apartment, and rotting meat flipped out from a fridge onto the ground, surrounded by other discarded personal items. To read our latest coverage on ICE in Chicago, visit blockclubchicago.org.
And ICE attacked a black neighborhood last night. Black apartment complex, detained pretty much everyone, destroyed those people's homes. Destroyed. I just got finished looking at videos and they took everything out of the refrigerator, threw it on the floor, broke windows, destroyed fences, destroyed doors, destroyed walls, damaged all of their personal belongings, just threw everything out. So why is ICE in a black neighborhood looking for immigrants, I guess? They have moved on to getting a response from black people because, like I said earlier, we don't have that many immigrants that they should be doing a big recruiting effort. We don't need all of these holding facilities and these jails. We don't have that many immigrants.
What's happening?
They pulled up, I don't know, they detained, I think, 4 individuals right now.
They detained 4 of our people. This is one of my employees. This is at our shelter right here in Bronzeville. ICE has shown up in Bronzeville. Please share this, everybody. They showed up at our shelter here in Bronzeville. Can you all hear? Can you all hear? Can you hear me?
ICE is detaining black people in Chicago. Do you understand? We told y'all it was going to start with Hispanic people and immigrants, and they were already going after Haitians, already going after my people. So I've been saying this, but like they're now detaining, ICE is now detaining black people in Chicago. They just raided a whole apartment complex. Ain't that crazy? They raided a whole apartment complex. And it didn't matter what you were doing in your apartment. You had people roll up in your house, detain you. And if you had a warrant out, they kept you. That's like, what are you doing in my house in the first place? They're detaining black people in Chicago. So, okay. All right. So what now? When does when do we stop working and start working? You know, like, because I don't understand, like, what do we do now?
They're using immigration as a pretext, exactly the fuck like I said they would do. This is why we said citizenship is on the ballot. They chose 10 p.m. because that is where you have maximum occupancy in a residential building. To come in there, no fucking warrants. So the due process shit is out the window. You're supposed to have probable cause to enter a person's home. All that shit's out the window now. This is an attack on our communities, on black people. To separate children, to zip tie children, that is barbaric behavior. And this is why you can't only care about citizens and, well, that's how they treat immigrants, because they don't give a fuck about your citizenship or your humanity. So they are traumatizing people. They are terrorizing people, and they are detaining people overnight This is a school night. You have children separated from their parents. And like I said, with these checkpoints, remember we talked about the checkpoints in DC and they're supposedly ICE checkpoints. But remember how I also pointed out that if they are running background checks on you, they're not just checking, oh, okay, you got your real ID, you a citizen, oh, you got your birth certificate, okay. No, they are hunting for reasons to incarcerate Black people. They don't see you as a person they have to do their due diligence for. When they make a mistake, they do not take any kind of efforts to rectify it. The property damage that they did, they're not going to come and say, oh, okay, well, here's the check. Here you go. No, y'all assed out. So they destroy the property. They take things. That's now left for these residents to be burdened with. These are people's homes at 10 o'clock at night. What kind of urgent law enforcement business is needed for an entire building? This is like when Nino Brown took over the motherfucking projects. I forget the name of it, but the building
in New Jack City.
In New Jack City shit. But this is real life. This is real fucking life. And there is unchecked power. With that being said, I said in 2023, when I was on Chicago radio, and I mentioned this earlier this week,
yes, you did.
Thing I heard on the radio, trans immigrant. We have to be careful about taking political action that we think is punishing the they, them, the others, because you should always know that shit is going to boomerang right the fuck back on us.
I spoke to one woman who actually lives in this building, and she says she was detained by ICE agents overnight, and she says they took everyone and then asked questions later.
They just treated us like we were nothing.
Patricia Fisher says she came out to the hallway of her apartment complex on the corner of 75th and South Shore Drive in her nightgown around 10 Monday night, only to find ICE agents yelling police.
It was scary because I've never had a gun put in my face. They asked my name and my date of birth and asked me did I have any warrants, and I told them no, I didn't.
She says she was then handcuffed and released around 3 a.m. Fisher says she was told if anyone had any kind of warrant out for them, even if it was unrelated to immigration, they would not be released. Citizen video shows the chaotic scene overnight. Neighbors tell us there were dozens of ICE agents. Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. That's all I kept asking. Where's the morality? Where's the human? One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
Watson says budget trucks and military-style vans were used to separate parents from their children. Other neighbors say they saw agents destroying property to get in the building.
And they had a big 15-inch chainsaw with a round blade on it, cutting this fence down. We're under siege. We're being invaded by our own military.
I'm sorry, this is what we want? This is what people voted for? For people to be dragged out of their homes in the middle of the night, to have masked men put people in unmarked vehicles, for flashbangs, for children to be in zip ties, for people to be at gunpoint? This is the country you want? You want our government to terrorize its own citizens? I don't understand, if anybody says this is what they voted for, how you continue to move the goalpost and your own deplorable lack of moral standards. It is absolutely ridiculous. I don't care if they're black, Hispanic, Asian, white, rich, poor, it doesn't matter. This type of thing should not be happening anywhere. We should not be declaring war on our own citizens.
Did you hear about the midnight raid in South Shore in Chicago? Here's what just happened and why this matters to you. Are you ready? Let's go. So last night in Chicago's South Shore, federal agents, ICE, swarmed a residential building. Did y'all hear about this? Okay. Now, this was in the dark of early morning that this happened, and the operation actually left these black folks, these residents, traumatized. Because wouldn't you be? Yeah. So questioning constitutional boundaries was absolutely what happened, and demanding accountability is the next thing. So Voices from the ground, and what we should be watching for is what we're getting ready to go over right now. You ready? If you're not, go ahead and scroll on now, because a lot of y'all like to argue and stuff and say that we're lying and we're making this up. But baby, this was reported on by their local news. So the raid took place around 75th and South Shore Drive, according to DHS. There were 37 arrests that were made, with the CBP, the FBI, and the ATF that was involved. Now, their media confirms that U.S. citizens were among those that were detained, though temporarily. Now, residents report agents asking names, birth dates, and demands of warrants, even unrelated ones. There is actual video of people in zip ties being led to a nearby school lot at 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, witnesses have actually described tear gas, flashbangs, property destruction, and van transports segregating Black people from immigrants. Now, here's what some of the folks that were there actually said. They just treated us like we were nothing. It was scary because I had never had a gun in my face. They asked, "Do you have any warrants?" I told them, "No, I didn't." They're like piling us all up. It wasn't no room to move anywhere. They was terrified. The kids was crying. They had them zip tied together. One of them literally laughed and said, "Fuck them kids." They had big 15-inch chainsaws cutting the fence down. They had the Black people in one van and the immigrants in another. I was placed in a plastic zip tie handcuffs and detained for nearly 2 hours. Once I went into the hallway, they put us in the plastic wristband thingies. They just took our information. Someone else said, "I don't like how they did it because us Americans, we didn't have anything to do with them." Now, these aren't isolated testimonies, folks. These are a painted pattern of mass detentions, indiscriminate treatment, and fear in a Black neighborhood with Americans. Okay. So here are the constitutional concerns. The raid raises urgent Fourth Amendment questions: search, seizure, warrants, detaining U.S. citizens under suspicion of immigration violations or unrelated warrants erodes legal protections. Number one, racial and community impact. So South Shore is predominantly a Black neighborhood. So this kind of forceful nighttime raid, sweeping entire buildings, fuels distrust, trauma, and the question, who is being policed? We don't need to ask that question, because what were you doing there anyway? You already knew. Transparency and accountability. DHS, ICE, they've made statements but have not released full arrest records or evidence backing gang affiliation claims. Communities deserve clarity. But in this case, no one cares until it's your neighborhood. Precedent and ripple effect. If allowed unchecked, this kind of tactic may expand into other vulnerable neighborhoods across the country. So here's the question. You ready? Is ICE or DHS publishing detailed warrants or arrest justifications? Which detainees are being charged and for what? Do we know? What legal challenges are going to follow? Will constitutional rights be asserted in court? How will community leaders respond? Protests, legal suits, public pressure, we're going to see about that too. And what federal oversight or local pushback will emerge from this? Because the question is if you're doing this in one Black community, oh baby, listen, this is just the beginning. So what's your call to action? Share this information, look for answers, continue to keep your ear to the street, and demand answers from your elected officials in your community. Find out how protected you are and learn and understand exactly what that amendment says. And what is that? The Fourth Amendment, folks. Let's not get beside ourselves and not do the research or the due diligence that is necessary. It is the Fourth Amendment. Because see, when your neighbors are terrorized in the middle of the night, silence is complicity. Are you complicit? Hope not.
They called it law enforcement, but to the people in Chicago, it looks like targeting, it looks like profiling, it looks like injustice. ICE says they are hunting criminals, but how many families were destroyed for nothing? How many? How many citizens were dragged away with no explanation? This raid is a warning, and if it can happen in Chicago, it can happen anywhere else. Well, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Do well to like, share, and of course, subscribe to support the channel. Till next time.